Meantime, gas prices near a 2-year high ahead of the Labor Day holiday weekend. Tropical Storm Harvey causing the national average to jump about 17 cents a gallon just in the last week to $2.52 a gallon. This is according to AAA. Texas paying the price. AAA says the price for regular climbing an average of 10 cents overnight. And this is shortages are showing up across the state, causing long lines at pumps from Dallas to Port Arthur. And you're also seeing reports of potential shortages showing up and down the East Coast because the Colonial Pipeline is essentially shut down. Joining us now is Lipow Oil Associates President Andy Lipow. How bad is this going to get? First, start with prices, Andy. How high will prices go at the pump for people in a lot of areas?
Well, I'm expecting that prices are going to go up another 20 cents a gallon because we see that in the wholesale pipeline prices already, and that's going to get passed through to the consumer. As far as gasoline supplies, it's going to remain tight for several weeks as the refiners start to come back from these outages. But there is also a lot of imports that are coming in from Europe as well as Asia in order to fill the gap.
Well, the European imports of gasoline certainly help the Northeast. And I want to point out, because this is a story that we've been covering, the Colonial Pipeline, which runs from Texas all the way up into New Jersey. It supplies, say, jet fuel to Charlotte's airport, Dulles, even gasoline to the New York area. Nearly 40% of the South gasoline is essentially shut down. You also have the Explorer pipeline that is shut down. Are we going to see gas lines in many of these, say, mid-Atlantic states and even up into the Chicago area?
Well, I think it's going to be tight. I don't expect gas lines. As you mentioned, Colonial Pipeline is operating from Louisiana northeastward, and they expect to start receiving oil from the Houston area on Sunday night. So this weekend might be a little bit tight. I mean, there is good news on the refining front. The Corpus Christi area refiners are beginning to come back into service, and that'll supply the Austin, Waco, and Dallas markets. We've got the Houston refiners that are on stream. Or some of them are on stream. They had been awaiting crude supplies and the restoration of some local area distribution networks. So things are getting better, but it is going to be tight.
Andy, without getting too arcane into the world of how crude is refined or anything.
We like this discussion. We like talking about the energy business in the United States because this has been, again, this is the first real test. I don't mean to interrupt you, but this is the first real test since the shale boom of how have they better protected our energy infrastructure, because this is the first major storm that has really hit the Texas coast since the shale explosion, if you will.
Right. And, I mean, given the scale of what just happened in Texas and elsewhere, is there some kind of risk that, say, when the Motiva refinery or Baytown, which is owned by Exxon, that they're actually going to have some issues as they start coming back online?
Like severe damage.
So could this tightness be a little worse than expected? Is that possible?
Well, I am expecting some significant damage at Exxon Baytown and Motiva Port Arthur because there are some pictures showing a significant amount of water in both facilities. Now, the issue is that when you have the water in the refineries and you submerge all those electric motors, you've got to yank them out and get them repaired. And when you have hundreds of motors going to repair shops that also have been flooded, you have this bottleneck in the repair. Now, a lot of the refineries do have spares for the critical pumps, but there is going to be issues in Port Arthur, make no mistake about it. Motiva is going to be down for 2 weeks just assessing the damage, and then it may be several more weeks before they get online.
So what you're saying is basically within a month, we'll be back to normal with things?
Well, we'll get most of the supply back in the next month, but consider that in the Port Arthur area itself, that accounts for 8.5% of the U.S. refining capacity. And if all 4 of those refiners have gotten hit hard, I mean, they're in close proximity to each other, we could be looking at continuing to bring in imports to fill that gap.
And we also have about 230 million barrels of gasoline in stockpiles right now. Yeah. And we actually have, I want to get Phil in here, we have a gasoline emergency reserve like the SPR that was put into place after Superstorm Sandy, which is in the Northeast. I don't even know if a lot of people know that. I mean, but Phil, that could be tapped if it was a real supply emergency.
It doesn't sound as if the problem is availability of crude. It seems like it's the refining capacity and getting gasoline out into the system, which is the question I want to ask. So we talked about the fact that gasoline prices are already up 17 cents a gallon in the last week. You think we're going to go up another 20 cents or so. But if this refining capacity will start to come back over the next month or so, how long-term do you think the negative economic impact might be on the economy? It sounds relatively short-lived.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm thinking 6 to 8 weeks because gas prices are going to spike, then they'll level off, and then they'll kind of trickle on downward as the refineries get back on stream. The other thing on inventories, if you look back in 2008 when we had Hurricane Ike, we were able to pull about 50 million barrels of gasoline out of inventory. So that 230 today, we can see it get down to 180 million.
Okay, Andy, great analysis. Thank you so much. Andy Lipow, covering the world of energy, or at least energy in this country.